Have you ever stopped to think that we know more about the surface of the moon than the bottom of our own planet? That's right. While telescopes explore the cosmos, the earthly abyss continues to send us whispers, strange, silent, and still without translation. The Mariana Trench, with its nearly 11,000 meters of depth, is not only the most distant point from the Earth's surface, it's also one of the most enigmatic places ever recorded by science, and perhaps the most overlooked. There, where ocean pressure could crush an ordinary submarine like a soda can, unsettling reports have emerged. Unexplainable sounds, indescribable creatures, and structures that simply don't make sense. We're not talking about legends. We're talking about records documented by equipment, studies published in Nature Communications, and expeditions with millions of dollars invested. In this setting of total darkness, life, yes, life, flourishes with a boldness that borders on the spiritual, and at the same time, a reminder of how small we still are in the face of God's wisdom, or the laws of geology, depending on your beliefs. We're happy to connect with you. Leave a comment telling us where you're from before we begin our descent. Because what you're about to discover here isn't in textbooks, nor in Hollywood films. This is pure reality, told by data, wrapped in mystery, and driven by a question that never goes away. What really lives at the bottom of the abyss? Imagine a place so deep that sunlight has never dared to visit, the Challenger Deep, at the heart of the Mariana Trench. Now, picture a plastic bag lazily floating down there, as if it were on vacation. It sounds like a joke, but it's a harsh snapshot of marine pollution. In the abyssal darkness, where ocean depth is enough to crush a regular submarine, microplastics and human waste gather as if they were rightful inhabitants of that void. It's as if we've sent a toxic calling card to the extremophile organisms that live there. The most impressive or disturbing part is that even organisms like xenophyophores and bioluminescent fish, such as the black dragonfish and the sea devil, are being contaminated. Researchers from the Journal of Experimental Marine Biology found traces of Uratinis plasticus, a species adapted to plastic, in sediment samples from the oceanic trench. Want a comparison? It's like living in a remote, untouched place and still finding trash from another continent in your backyard. And down there, we're talking about 10,984 meters deep. Did you know that 72% of the creatures living in these regions have microplastics in their bodies? It's as if the ocean has swallowed our neglect. The question becomes inevitable. If even the depths of the Mariana Trench aren't safe from pollution, what else are we damaging without even realizing it? This isn't just an ecological issue. It's a warning screaming in the language of ocean conservation. But what if this region doesn't only hide tragedies, but also the secrets of the origin of life? In the bowels of the Earth, where absolute silence reigns and atmospheric pressure reaches an astonishing 1,086 bar, scientists have been finding intriguing clues that life may have originated right there, near hydrothermal vents. In both the Challenger Deep and the Serena Deep, structures rich in magnesium hydroxide have been identified, with geometries resembling primitive cells. These are environments where energy doesn't come from light, but from chemistry. A kind of cosmic kitchen, where compounds meet, react, and perhaps organize into the first forms of life. These vents release heat and nutrients capable of sustaining colonies of abyssal microorganisms that don't rely on the sun, only on chemical energy. And that changes everything. If life without sunlight is possible here, why wouldn't it be on moons like Jupiter's Europa or Saturn's Enceladus? It's as if the deep ocean gives us an unwritten guide to searching for life beyond Earth. In fact, some scientists suggest that studying these underwater formations helps us decipher the conditions that gave rise to life, not just on Earth, but in the universe. Do you think the creatures found here could help us unlock the mystery of extraterrestrial life? This hypothesis isn't just scientific. It sparks our imagination, our sense of purpose. After all, who would have thought that something as enigmatic as a steaming underwater vent could become a sort of ancestral arc of divine creation? And it gets even more fascinating when you discover what lives around these heat points, the extreme biological diversity that looks like it came straight out of a science fiction movie. Have you ever wondered what exists in a place where the sun has never touched, where everything is silent and the pressure is so immense it could crush a battle tank? Well, that's exactly where we find creatures that look like they came out of a science fiction illustration. The Mariana snailfish slithers through the sediment like a translucent ghost. Above it, the sea devil hovers like a floating trap with a deceptive glowing lure on its head, setting ambushes in an endless darkness. And then there's the intriguing Pacific barrelfish, a transparent-headed fish whose upward-facing eyes suggest an almost philosophical behavior, watching what falls from the ocean sky. Instead of shiny scales, these beings wear discretion. In place of curious eyes, they've developed sensors and chemical tricks. The Dumbo octopus, for example, dances through the void as if defying the laws of physics, moving its ears with hypnotic grace. The black dragonfish is nearly invisible, with skin that absorbs 99% of light. It's a living shadow. Each one is nature's creative answer to a hostile environment, a living lesson in extreme adaptation shaped by ages of pressure and darkness. They are the silent artists of the ocean deep. Now think about this. How can life be so versatile that it thrives where there is no light, no warmth, no color? These creatures don't just survive, they thrive. And all of this is only possible because something powers this invisible chain. Something smaller, more basic, more ancient. Could it be that the true engineers of this hidden world are actually the abyssal microorganisms no one sees? Beneath tons of pressure, where heat escapes in bursts and light has never made an appearance, there is life. Not the kind of life you see in beautifully shot documentaries about tropical reefs, but microscopic life, invisible to the eye, and interestingly, perhaps more important than any blue whale. We're talking about abyssal microorganisms that have mastered the art of chemosynthesis. They don't need the sun. What they crave is sulfur, methane, and any other chemical compound spewed out by hydrothermal vents. And with that, they create energy. Energy for themselves, for the environment, for the entire deep-sea food chain. Now just look at the genius of this equation. Instead of photosynthesis, these organisms use a kind of secret recipe based on minerals and scalding gases. It's as if nature said, no sun, no problem. We'll work with what we've got. The result? Entire ecosystems. Vibrant colonies thriving on chemical energy, all of it happening miles below the surface. Scientists publishing in Nature Communications have even proposed that the origin of life may have started precisely there, in the far reaches of the Mariana Trench, where everything pulses in silence. And here's a thought. If life can stand, or better yet, exist at a cellular level, in a place like that, why couldn't it arise on other worlds with subsurface oceans? In fact, have you ever wondered whether these microorganisms are the link between spirituality and nature? If they represent such a meticulous design that they lay bare the wisdom of God in life's tiniest forms? Leave your thoughts in the comments before we reach the deepest point of the ocean, because the next layer of this journey is darker and full of sharp teeth. Now take a deep breath, because we're diving into the territory of invisible hunters. Down here, camouflage is absolute, and eyes gleam not with fear, but with cunning. The frilled shark, for instance, looks like a walking fossil that never got the memo about evolution. With its serpent-like body and hook-shaped teeth, it ambushes its prey in a single swift strike. Then there's the black dragonfish, a blend of glamour and menace. Its bioluminescence lures in small animals, while its needle-like teeth end the negotiation instantly. And don't be fooled by the friendly name sea devil. It's the true devil of the dark. These predators don't chase their prey. They wait, manipulate, pretend, glow, like underwater illusionists. They're a living lesson in how adaptive evolution works when the environment demands creativity. Most of these animals have specialized hemoglobin to retain scarce oxygen and motion sensors that rival the precision of modern robotics. Living on the edges of the Challenger Deep, they feed on anything, from blind crustaceans to equally bizarre fish. It's a silent jungle, but no less deadly for it. Which do you think is the most fearsome predator 10,000 meters deep? The answer might surprise you. It's not always the biggest. Down here, being small, cold, and strategic is worth more than muscle. But this dark kingdom isn't all about ambushes, because some creatures swim thousands of kilometers just to fulfill their role in the story of marine preservation. One such ancient traveler with a sturdy shell and a loyal heart, the green sea turtle. The green sea turtle is the kind of creature that quite literally carries time on its back. Millions of years of history compressed into a shell that withstands time, tides, and, unfortunately, plastic. It doesn't live in the depths of the Mariana Trench, but it crosses entire oceans in sync with Earth's magnetic field, visiting coral reefs where it deposits entire generations of hope. These reefs, by the way, serve as nurseries for marine life. They're the stage where the turtle interacts with species like the angelfish and the clownfish, forming bonds that feel like childhood friendships, steady and enduring. What's fascinating is that this silent traveler does more than swim. It helps regulate the ecosystem, trimming algae and keeping coral clean, allowing other organisms to thrive. But pollution, microplastics, and deep-sea mining are making this ancestral journey more difficult. And here's the thing. With every turtle that gets tangled in a plastic bag, we lose more than just an animal. We lose a piece of a natural balance that functions like a symphony, where every note has its purpose. Have you ever thought about symbolically adopting a sea turtle? There are citizen science programs that let you do just that. And as a bonus, you can even track their migratory routes in real time. And what if those routes weren't just chance? What if we're witnessing divine wisdom stitched into the DNA of every creature that somehow knows exactly where to go without ever being taught the way? The answer, or at least the next clue, might lie in an unlikely partnership between a small fish and a venomous anemone. In the midst of marine chaos, where predators lurk from every angle and survival demands cunning, there are stories of partnership that defy logic. One of the most charming comes from the humble clownfish. It found refuge in the lethal embrace of a sea anemone. Yes, that's right. A fish that lives nestled against a venomous creature and survives to tell the tale. How? Through symbiosis, an evolutionary dance where each gives something and gets something in return. While the fish scares off small predators and brings food scraps, the anemone offers protection with its stinging tentacles. Pure natural strategy. This alliance didn't appear overnight. It took generations upon generations shaped by adaptive evolution, fine-tuning behavior, skin, chemistry, even instinct. What began as coincidence became a lifetime contract between species. And what's most surprising is how this type of relationship repeats throughout the ocean. Between abyssal microorganisms and mollusks, or crustaceans and coral. Marine symbiosis might just be one of the most sophisticated forms of biological intelligence. Not brain power, but collaboration. If we stop to think about it, that logic applies to us too, doesn't it? In nature, winning alone is the exception, not the rule. So why not start noticing the partnerships you could strengthen at school, at work, or in everyday life? After all, as an old sea sage once said, or maybe it was a Pixar writer, no one swims alone for long. But what happens when the ocean floor offers not shelter, but fractures that split the planet apart? The answer comes from the ground, literally. Down below, beneath kilometers of water and silence, the Earth does not sleep. It moves, cracks, swallows, and spits. The Mariana Trench is the point where the Pacific tectonic plate dives beneath the Philippine plate in a process called subduction. It's in this collision zone that the world's deepest ocean trench is formed, and where undersea volcanoes, islands, and tremors too subtle for the surface are born. Imagine the ocean floor being pulled like a sheet on an unmade bed. That geological tension shapes the seafloor's contours. The geological formation of this region isn't just a technical curiosity. It determines everything. The volcanic arcs that emerge along its edges create unique habitats, thermal vents, and the perfect setting for the rise of new species. Marine sediment pockets form there, storing centuries of microscopic history. It's like a notebook where the planet writes, in geologic code, the events that shape continents. And if you're wondering how this affects you, consider that these movements can cause tsunamis, alter ocean currents, and over time, shift the climate. Now imagine being in control of a deep-sea robot, exploring those fractures while sensors pick up seismic variations and detect invisible heat sources. That's exactly what scientists have been doing for decades, armed with cutting-edge technology and age-old curiosity. And the most incredible part? Every new descent brings back not just rocks and data, but revelations about human impact. Think our actions on the surface don't reach these depths? It's time to think again. Remember that old saying, out of sight, out of mind? Well, when it comes to the Mariana Trench, it seems humanity took it literally and dumped trash along with it. In recent analyses, microplastics were detected in 72% of marine species in the region, including xenophyophores, Pacific barrelfish, and even barophilic bacteria. Some of these fragments were found more than 10,000 meters deep. Think about that. Even where human eyes can't reach, the damage already has. And it doesn't stop there. Deep-sea mining projects are being discussed by global conglomerates, aiming to extract rare metals from marine sediments. This threatens to disrupt ecosystems that haven't even been fully understood, where newly discovered species could hold clues to the origin of life or medical solutions for the future. Thankfully, initiatives like the creation of the Marine National Monument and marine management programs have emerged in response. But are they enough? Perhaps the true turning point lies in citizen science, where everyone can take part, even without being an expert. Want to be part of it? You can. Apps like iNaturalist let anyone log species sightings, contributing to global databases. Small actions, like reducing plastic consumption and supporting marine conservation projects, help more than you might think. The question remains, if even the most discreet creature in the trench carries our trash in its stomach, what does that say about us? And what message are we leaving for the planet we were entrusted with? Amid the eternal darkness of the Mariana Trench, where even the sun dares not visit, many see only rocks, bacteria, and predators with glowing teeth. But others, with a more attentive gaze, see signs of something greater. It's hard not to be moved by the ingenuity of such extreme adaptations, by life blooming where it shouldn't, by order emerging from chaos. And there are those who say, this isn't just biology. It's God's wisdom, manifested in the most remote architecture on the planet. A subtle message that divine creation isn't limited to what we can see. Science, of course, has its explanations: chemical energy, chemosynthesis, geological formation. But what if it's all of that, and something more? A plan that includes both xenophyophores and white-tip sharks? A balance drawn with millimetric precision, sustained by natural laws that challenge randomness. It's at this point that science and faith stop being opposites and begin to walk side by side. After all, understanding life in its most primitive or most resilient form may be a way to connect with what is most sacred. We're grateful to connect with you. And before we move forward, here's the question that never goes away. What is our responsibility in all of this? If this planet was placed in our hands, how will we face its depths? Leave a comment telling us where you're from before we begin our final descent, because now, with the numbers on the table, you'll understand why this story needs to be told. In detail, in data, in truth. After all this, it's hard to keep believing the deep sea is just a dark, lifeless place, isn't it? The Mariana Trench isn't merely a geographic depth. It's a living reminder of how little we truly know about our own planet. If creatures like the sea devil and abyssal microorganisms have survived pressures that would crush any human technology, what else are we failing to see? Now think with me. If you could send a message to future generations about the importance of protecting our oceans, what would you say? Write it in the comments. Don't hesitate to share. Your voice might inspire thousands to reconnect with nature and awaken to the urgency of marine conservation. You don't have to be a scientist to be part of this change. All it takes is awareness, action, and the desire to leave the world more whole than we found it. And if this content sparked your curiosity, made you think, or even sent a chill down your spine, then don't forget, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to join us on more incredible journeys through the most forgotten and astonishing corners of planet Earth. Because the next story you'll hear might be even more unbelievable.